The party was totally off the hook. It was one of those classic Hollywood shindigs, held in a mansion perched high in the hills, overlooking the twinkling sea of Los Angeles. The air smelled like expensive perfume and tiny fancy hot dogs. Charlie Sheen stood on the balcony, a glass of sparkling water in his hand, feeling the cool night breeze. He was back. Not the old back, but a new, improved, zen-like back. He watched the beautiful people mingle, clinking glasses and laughing those big, fake Hollywood laughs. He smirked. He'd seen it all, done it all, and somehow, he was still standing. The tiger blood was now more like a calm, flowing river. Peaceful, you know? He leaned against the marble railing, a genuine smile playing on his lips. Someone he vaguely recognized, probably a hotshot director or a studio head, slapped him on the back. "Charlie, looking good, man. Staying out of trouble?" Charlie just chuckled, raising his glass. "Trouble is my middle name," he joked, "but I've legally changed it to Serenity. Doesn't have the same ring to it, but my therapist is thrilled." The man laughed, none the wiser, and moved on to schmooze with a pop star. Charlie felt a sense of calm he hadn't known for years. The chaos was behind him. The goddesses were at peace. Life was, for once, blessedly, beautifully boring. He took a slow sip of his water, savoring the bubbles. It was a strange new world. No more epic rants, no more frantic energy. Just this. The gentle hum of conversation, the distant city lights, the feeling of being completely and utterly in control. He had even started learning a few things, weird things like focusing his energy. Little magic tricks, he called them. He could make a cocktail olive hover for a few seconds if he really concentrated. It was a neat party trick, but he felt it was more than that. It was a sign that he was channeling his legendary energy into something constructive, something different. He was finally winning, but this time, it was a quiet win. But quiet is a funny thing in Hollywood. It's usually the calm before the storm. The universe loves a good punchline, and Charlie Sheen had been the setup for many of them. He closed his eyes, taking a deep, meditative breath. He was the master of his domain, the king of his own mellow castle. The party's bass line thumped a steady, predictable rhythm. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. A tiny nagging feeling tickled the back of his mind, a whisper from the old days. It was the kind of feeling you get right before the roller coaster drops, or in his case, right before the entire world decides to go completely bonkers all over again. Suddenly the party's chill vibe shattered like a dropped champagne flute. A sound ripped through the night, a sound that didn't belong with the pop music and polite chatter. It was a high-pitched shriek, a mix between a chattering otter and a crying baby, but 10 times louder and 100 times more terrifying. It echoed off the canyon walls, making the crystal glasses on the tables vibrate. The music screeched to a halt. Every head turned towards the massive glass doors that led out to the perfectly manicured lawn. The doors exploded inwards, sending a shower of sparkling glass and splintered wood across the marble floor. People screamed, really screamed. Standing in the doorway was a nightmare creature pulled straight from a fever dream. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, and covered in shaggy dark fur that looked wet and smelled like a swamp. It had the lanky body of a man but the head of a giant demonic otter. Its eyes glowed with a sickly green light, and its mouth was filled with needle-sharp teeth that chattered and clicked with a horrifying rhythm. It took a step inside, its long clawed fingers twitching. This was no Hollywood special effect. This was real. This was a Kushtaka, a shape-shifting monster from the darkest corners of Alaskan folklore, and it had just crashed the biggest party of the year. The scene descended into pure, unadulterated chaos. A-list actors tripped over B-list reality stars trying to flee. Agents who were usually so good at screaming at people were now just screaming in general. A famous comedian tried to hide behind a giant ice sculpture of a swan, which the creature promptly swatted aside with a flick of its wrist, sending ice chunks flying. The creature let out another one of its bone-chilling shrieks, and the remaining partygoers scrambled for cover, diving under tables and behind velvet curtains. It was a stampede of sequins and terror. The air filled with the sounds of panic, the creature's horrible clicks, and the crunching of expensive appetizers underfoot. The Kushtaka tilted its monstrous otter head, its glowing eyes scanning the room of cowering celebrities. It seemed confused, maybe even a little scared itself, like it had taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque and ended up in the middle of this glitzy madhouse. It sniffed the air, its whiskered snout twitching. It wasn't necessarily being aggressive, but its sheer presence was enough to cause a mass meltdown. It was a wild, ancient thing of myth and legend, and it was currently standing next to the caviar bar, looking like it was contemplating its next move. And in the middle of it all, one man stood his ground, watching the scene unfold with a look of disbelief. Charlie Sheen's boring night was officially over. While everyone else was running for their lives, Charlie Sheen took a step forward. Was he scared? Of course he was. The thing looked like a water mammal that had been hitting the gym with a demon. But fear was an old friend, and he knew how to handle it. He smoothly grabbed 2 shrimp cocktails from a fallen platter on the floor. He held them up like a peace offering. "Easy there, fella," he said, his voice cutting through the panic. "Bad day? I get it. Sometimes you just want to crash a party and wreck the place. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt." The creature stopped its chattering and looked at him, its head cocked to the side. Charlie took another slow step, his movements calm and deliberate. He had to try something. He focused that new energy he'd been practicing with, that little spark of magic. He flicked his wrist, and one of the shrimp on his tiny fork suddenly glowed with a faint golden light. "See? Magic shrimp," he announced to the beast. "It's a Hollywood thing, full of electrolytes, good for the fur." The Kushtaka blinked its glowing green eyes. It seemed intrigued. The raw panic in the room began to subside, replaced by sheer dumbfounded confusion as everyone watched the bizarre exchange. Charlie Sheen was trying to sweet-talk the monster. "You look lost, buddy," Charlie continued, his voice like a soothing balm on a wound of pure terror. "This isn't the great Alaskan wilderness. The only predators here are agents, and trust me, you're better off dealing with a bear." He channeled his inner charm, the same charm that had captivated millions. He wasn't just talking, he was performing. He subtly used another one of his new tricks, creating a small, calming aura around himself. It was a simple spell, meant to soothe frayed nerves, and it seemed to be working on the creature. Its tense, wiry body relaxed just a little. Its chattering softened into a low, inquisitive burble. It was actually listening to him. He tossed one of the shrimp cocktails onto the floor in front of the creature. The Kushtaka crept forward and sniffed it cautiously before gobbling it up in one gulp. "There you go," Charlie said with a winning smile. "We're not so different, you and I. We're just a couple of misunderstood souls looking for a good time." He was buying time. He knew that. He couldn't keep this up forever. This thing was a wild card, a force of nature stuffed into a hairy suit. But for now, he had its attention. He was the monster whisperer. It was a new role for him, but hey, he was a professional. And the show, as they say, must go on.
Talking to it, Sheen? I figured you'd be challenging it to a drinking contest.
A woman stepped out from behind a large potted palm, looking completely unfazed by the 7-foot otter demon in the room. She had dark, intense eyes, a leather jacket, and an air of mystical authority. This was Elena the Hex Cortez. She was a practitioner of the arcane arts, a wielder of powerful magic, and as luck would have it, an old acquaintance of Charlie's from a previous, even weirder adventure. Charlie's face broke into a relieved grin. "Elena, fancy meeting you here. I was just getting to know our new friend. He's not a big talker, but he's a great listener." Elena rolled her eyes, but there was a hint of amusement in her expression. She walked forward, her boots clicking confidently on the marble floor. She raised a hand, and intricate, glowing blue symbols began to swirl in the air around her. The Kushtaka recoiled, letting out a nervous hiss. The raw power radiating from Elena was something it understood far better than charming speeches about Hollywood agents. This was magic it recognized, and it was scared.
"This is a Kushtaka," Elena said, her eyes never leaving the creature. "A spirit of the Tlingit people. It's a trickster, a soul stealer. But it's also thousands of miles from home. It's disoriented and terrified." She glanced at Charlie. "Your little calming trick was cute, but we need to do more than just feed it hors d'oeuvres."
She began to chant in a low, ancient language. The blue symbols swirled faster, forming a shimmering, ethereal cage of light around the creature. The Kushtaka clawed at the magical bars, but they held firm, humming with contained energy. The remaining celebrities peeked out from their hiding spots, their jaws on the floor. Charlie leaned in close to Elena, whispering, "Nice entrance. You always did know how to make a scene." Elena didn't break her concentration, but shot him a sideways glance.
"Someone has to clean up the messes, Charlie, and you always seem to be standing right in the middle of them."
Despite the banter, there was a comfortable rhythm between them. The easy chemistry of two people who had faced down the impossible together before. With the creature safely contained in Elena's magic bubble, the immediate danger was over. But the bigger question remained, what in the world was an ancient Alaskan cryptid doing at a Hollywood party? In the age of smartphones, nothing stays secret for long. especially not a monster crashing a celebrity party. Even while hiding under tables, a dozen wannabe directors and influencers had been recording the whole thing. Before Elena's magical cage had even fully solidified, videos of the Hollywood Howler were already going viral. Hashtags like Otter-Be-Gone and Sheen Saves the Day were trending worldwide. The footage was shaky and chaotic, but it clearly showed the creature, Charlie's bizarrely effective negotiation, and Elena's spectacular display of magic. The world was watching, and more importantly, the right people were watching. Miles away, in a dusty library filled with ancient books, Dr. Amelia Gray's phone buzzed incessantly. The brilliant academic and expert on all things cryptozoological watched the video on her tablet, her eyes widening. She recognized the creature instantly. This wasn't just some isolated incident, it was a pattern. She immediately got on a secure line. Her first call was to a remote, undisclosed location where Rick the Sniper Thompson was calibrating a high-tech rifle.
Rick, pack your bags. We're going to Hollywood.
Rick, a man of few words and impeccable aim, simply nodded and began to pack his specialized, non-lethal ammunition. The signal also reached Cassandra, a woman known as the Night Howler. She was a lycanthrope, a werewolf, who had learned to control her transformation and used her unique abilities to track and understand supernatural creatures. She saw the video and felt a strange pull, a resonance with the creature's fear and confusion. She knew she had to be there. At the same time, in a lavish Gothic estate in Europe, the eternally old and ridiculously wealthy Lord Victor Drackle sighed as his butler showed him the viral clip.
Hollywood, so terribly gauche, but it seems my particular expertise is required.
He stood up grabbing his velvet-lined cape. The old team was getting back together. They all converged on Hollywood like moths to a very weird, very public flame. They were a strange bunch, a scientist, a sniper, a werewolf, and an ancient vampire. They were the ones you called when things went bump in the night, especially when that bump was broadcast live to millions of people. They arrived at the now quarantined mansion to find Charlie and Elena standing guard over the caged Kushtaka. Amelia was the first to speak.
Charlie, Elena, I'm glad you're both all right. But I'm afraid this is much bigger than one lost monster.
The reunion was complete, but the real work was just beginning.
Dr. Amelia Gray wasted no time. She spread a large, ancient-looking map of Los Angeles across a surviving marble coffee table, scattering stray shrimp and olives. "This isn't a coincidence," she began, her finger tracing glowing lines that were invisible on a normal map. Hollywood, like many ancient sites, is built on a convergence of ley lines. Think of them as invisible rivers of magical energy that flow across the earth. For centuries they've been dormant, quiet, but something is causing them to flare up. They're becoming unstable. She pointed to a spot right under the Hollywood Hills, and this mansion is sitting right on top of a major junction.
The team gathered around, listening intently.
Lord Victor Dracul peered at the map through a gold monocle. So you are suggesting that this Furry party crasher simply rode one of these energy currents here by accident? He asked, his voice a low, cultured rumble.
Amelia nodded. Precisely. The barriers between our world and the worlds of myth and legend are thinning. These ley lines are becoming highways. This Kushtaka is just the first creature to stumble through. It's a global phenomenon. I've been tracking similar energy spikes all over the world. A global awakening of cryptids.
The word hung in the air. This was no longer just about werewolves. It was about everything. Charlie, who had been trying to follow the complex explanation, finally spoke up. So you're saying L.A. quote, S mystical plumbing is backed up, and this guy is the first hairball to get coughed up?
Amelia gave a slight smile. In a manner of speaking, yes, Charlie. The energy is raw, chaotic. It's drawing these creatures out of their native habitats and into ours. We're not just dealing with one monster, we're dealing with a fundamental shift in the planet's magical ecosystem.
The scope of the problem was massive, almost too big to comprehend. They weren't just monster hunters anymore, they were planetary plumbers.
Rick Thompson, ever the pragmatist, pointed to a specific point on the map where several lines converged. So, the leak is here, he stated. We need to find the source, the gateway.
Cassandra, using her heightened senses, closed her eyes and tilted her head. I can feel it, she whispered, a thrumming, a vibration in the earth. It's close, underneath us.
The team now had a mission. It wasn't just about sending the Kushtaka home, they had to find the source of the breach, the tear in reality. and figure out how to seal it before something much bigger and much less confused decided to pay Hollywood a visit. The investigation was on. Their search led them out of the trashed mansion and into the rugged terrain of the Hollywood Hills. Guided by Cassandra's senses and Amelia's map, they hiked through the scrub brush and canyons, the famous Hollywood sign looming above them like a silent white giant. The air grew thick with a strange, electric hum, the kind you feel right before a lightning strike. The energy was getting stronger, making the hairs on their arms stand up.
It's near, Cassandra said, her voice low. It feels like a wound in the world, raw and open.
She pointed towards a secluded, rocky outcrop hidden from the main hiking trails. Behind a curtain of overgrown ivy they found it, a cave entrance that wasn't on any park map. The moment they stepped inside, the humming intensified into a loud, pulsating drone. The walls of the cave were covered in shimmering crystalline formations that pulsed with an otherworldly light, shifting through shades of blue, purple, and green. In the center of the cavern was the source of it all. It was a shimmering, swirling vortex of pure energy, a tear in the very fabric of reality. It looked like a heat haze on a summer road, but it felt ancient and powerful. This was the gateway. This was the leak in Hollywood's magical plumbing.
Lord Victor Dracul approached the vortex, his ancient eyes studying it with a mixture of caution and fascination. Magnificent, he breathed. A pure, untamed rift. It is no wonder the creature was drawn through. This is a beacon.
Rick scanned the area with a handheld device, which whirred and clicked erratically. The energy readings are off the charts, he reported. The structure of this gateway is unstable. It could collapse, or it could rip open even wider.
They could see glimpses of other places through the swirling portal. Dense primordial jungles, icy tundras, and dark misty forests. It was a doorway to everywhere and nowhere.
Amelia formulated a plan. We have two objectives. First, we need to send our friend the Kushtaka back to its home. Elena, your magic will be needed to guide it through. Second, we have to seal this gateway, at least temporarily, before anything else comes through.
It was a risky plan. Stabilizing the vortex to send the creature back could just as easily invite more creatures in. They had to be fast, precise, and work together perfectly. The fate of Los Angeles, and possibly the world, rested on this mismatched team of heroes standing in a secret glowing cave under the most famous sign on Earth. No pressure, right? The team sprang into action. They brought the Kushtaka, still safely contained in Elena's glowing blue cage, to the mouth of the cave. The creature became agitated, chattering wildly as it felt the familiar energy of the gateway. It wanted to go home. "All right, everyone, listen up," Charlie announced, taking on the role of impromptu director. "Elena, you're on magic duty. Get ready to aim for the Alaskan Channel. Rick, you're our security. If anything other than a grumpy otter tries to come through, you tranquilize it. Victor, Cass, you guys are on crowd control for one. Keep the big guy calm." He pointed at the Kushtaka. "And I'll provide the winning attitude."
Elena stepped forward, her hands glowing with power. She began to chant, weaving a complex spell. The blue light from her hands streamed out, enveloping the magical cage and connecting it to the swirling vortex. She was creating a stable tunnel, a magical water slide, directly to the creature's home. "I'm trying to lock onto the energy signature of its origin point," she grunted, sweat beading on her forehead. "The Alaskan coastline. But there's so much interference, so many other places pushing through."
The gateway flickered violently, and for a moment, a huge, scaly snout poked through before Rick fired a tranquilizer dart, causing it to retract with a yelp.
"It's now or never, Elena," Amelia urged.
With a final powerful incantation, Elena thrust her hands forward. "The path is open," she yelled.
Lord Victor and Cassandra lowered the magical barrier on one side of the cage, creating an exit. The Kushtaka hesitated for a moment, then, with a final chattering cry that sounded almost like a thank you, it leaped from its cage and sprinted down the tunnel of light, disappearing into the gateway. A moment later, the blue tunnel collapsed. The creature was home. Now for part 2.
"Seal it!" Amelia shouted.
Elena, Victor, and Charlie combined their energies. Elena provided the raw, arcane power. Victor channeled an ancient, darker magic to bind it, and Charlie, to everyone's surprise, focused his unique tiger blood energy, a chaotic but potent force, to help stabilize their efforts. Together, they pushed against the gateway. The vortex resisted, bucking and flaring, but slowly, agonizingly, it began to shrink. The light dimmed, the humming faded, until finally, with a sound like a soft pop, the gateway sealed itself, leaving only a faint shimmer on the cave wall. They had done it. They collapsed in exhaustion, a team united in victory. Back at the now empty mansion, the team recovered from their ordeal. The sun was beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the city. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a sense of weary accomplishment. Charlie Sheen, surprisingly, felt more energized than ever. He looked at his strange new friends, the scientist, the sniper, the vampire, the werewolf, and the witch. He grinned. "Well," he said, breaking the silence, "that was way more fun than the after-party was going to be. So, what do you call this gig? Cryptid hunting? Monster wrangling? I think I'm pretty good at it. I might need to get new business cards."
Dr. Amelia Gray managed a tired smile. "Don't get too comfortable, Charlie. Sealing that gateway was a temporary fix, a magical patch. The ley lines are still supercharged. This is just the beginning. The awakening is happening all over the globe."
She pulled up a file on her tablet, her expression turning serious again. She showed them a grainy sonar image. It depicted a massive, serpentine shape moving in the deep, dark waters of a Scottish loch. The energy signature was off the charts, even stronger than the one they had just dealt with in Hollywood. It was an old legend, and it was waking up.
Our work isn't done, Lord Victor stated, adjusting his cuffs. If these gateways are opening everywhere, the world will need us. It will need a team capable of facing the myths.
Cassandra nodded in agreement. We're the only ones who can do this.
Rick simply checked his gear, his silent way of saying he was ready for whatever came next.
A new purpose had been forged in that glowing cave. They weren't just a collection of individuals anymore, they were a team. Earth's first and last line of defense against a world of awakening legends. Charlie looked at the image of the long-necked beast on the screen. A slow, excited grin spread across his face. He felt that old familiar fire returning, but this time it was focused, aimed at something bigger than himself. Hollywood was yesterday's news. This was his new calling. "Scotland, huh?" he said, a twinkle in his eye. "I've always wanted to go. I wonder if Nessie likes shrimp cocktails." The adventure was just getting started. The Hollywood Howl was over, but the team's global tour of myths and monsters was about to begin. Next stop, Loch Ness.